At show and tell, my son brought mommy's secret phone. The teacher's call left me speechless. You know that gut-wrenching feeling when the ground just falls out from under you? For me, it wasn't a sudden, cataclysmic event. It was a slow, agonizing realization sparked by my own child's innocent words and a secret phone that my family was systematically draining me dry. It was a betrayal that went bone deep. Okay, let me tell you my story. My name's Jason Whitmore. I'm 34, a full-time Uber driver, just trying to make it work. I'm the dad who knows the school gate guards by name, the guy who runs nights when the surge hits, naps in the afternoon, and always packs dinosaur gummies for my 6-year-old, Toby. My car isn't just a car, it's my livelihood. I meticulously track gas, tires, oil changes, because my paycheck depends on it. I'm not some fancy guy, you know. I'm reliable. That's my whole brand. Or at least, that's what I thought. The morning everything cracked, I was in the school pickup lane, sipping a coffee that tasted like burnt cardboard. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Whitmore, a tight, professional voice said. Could you come to the school right away? There was something underneath her calm tone, though, a tiny edge of discomfort, like she was stepping around broken glass. My heart seized. Is Toby okay? I asked. He's fine, she reassured me. It's for show and tell. Show and tell? I blinked, trying to compute, staring blankly at my windshield. I'm on my way, I said. 10 minutes later, I was in Toby's brightly colored classroom, surrounded by paper suns and kids sitting crisscross applesauce. There was Toby, right in the middle, looking so proud, holding up this pink phone with glitter stickers all over the case. A phone I'd never, ever seen before. This is Mommy's secret phone, he announced to 20 wide-eyed children and 2 absolutely stunned adults. It's for when she talks to Grandma, so Daddy won't get sad. My chest went hollow. Just hollow. The teacher cleared her throat, a little too loudly. Toby, sweetie, let's put the phone away now. She looked at me, her eyes apologetic. We found it in his backpack. I knelt down, trying to keep my voice steady. Bud, where'd you get that? He looked up at me, innocent as anything. Mommy said, keep it safe. She said, if Daddy finds it, he'll get mad and stop giving Uncle Kyle money. I froze. Right there. The teacher suddenly got very busy reorganizing crayons. My ears started to ring. Mr. Whitmore, she said softly, almost whispering. Maybe just take the phone. We can reschedule show and tell. I slid that glittery phone into my pocket, thanked the teacher, kissed Toby's head, and walked out to the parking lot on pure autopilot. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it, but I managed to press the power button. The lock screen popped up, a sweet selfie of my wife, Megan, and our son. Cute. Normal. Too normal. Then I saw the notification banners. That's when my stomach dropped. Mom, Denise, rent due. Kyle's car got booted. Tell Jason the family fund covers it. Kyle, tap me $600 or I'll lose the job. Use the blue card. Mag, delete messages. I just stood there in the parking lot, the words echoing in my head. Asterisk Mommy's secret phone. Talk to Grandma, so Daddy won't get sad. Asterisk the sun felt blindingly bright, and the asphalt smelled metallic, like hot pennies. I'm usually the guy who says yes. Gas money for Megan's mom. Just this once. Groceries when Kyle's between gigs? Sure. I tell myself I'm being kind. But a secret phone? Set up specifically to operate behind my back. That wasn't just help anymore. That was a whole new, ugly shape of betrayal. I didn't call Megan. I didn't call Denise. I just got into my Uber, engine off, and stared at that glittery pink case. My pulse was a loud, steady drum against my ribs. I tapped open the messages. The first thread I saw, the very first sentence, changed absolutely everything. Don't tell Jason. He'll shut the cards again. And just like that, I was wide awake. Every single bone in my body was screaming. Before this, before the secret phone, I honestly thought we were just stretched thin, but stable. Megan worked days at a salon, I drove nights, and we'd high-five at the door, passing Toby off like a precious baton. We had a plan, a real plan. Pay off the last $3,200 on a credit card, build a little cushion, maybe even take Toby to the beach next summer. Nothing extravagant, just not drowning. But the real story, the ugly background to all this, goes back years. Megan's mom, Denise, has always believed money is a group project. And by group, she meant me. She'd say things like, "We're family, Jason," whenever her car needed new tires. Then there's Kyle, Megan's 30-year-old brother, the kind of guy who almost had a deal every single week. First, it was crypto, then collectible sneakers, then a mobile detailing empire that was literally just a vacuum and an Instagram account. I did try to push back, but Megan would get this tight, strained look. "They're my family," she'd say. "I'm your family too, right? I know, I'm just asking for help this month." This month turned into a lot of months, which turned into years. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I was being kind. I told myself it would come back around. It never did. I tried to set rules. No cash, just groceries. Just gas. But they were experts at finding the edges, pushing every boundary. "Just put the bill in your name for a minute. Can you co-sign? It's just for the deposit. We'll Venmo you Friday." Fridays came and went with no Venmo. 2 winters ago, that's when things really went off the rails. My Corolla needed a new transmission. I took a week off Uber, lived on noodles, sold my old speakers to cover it. Kyle, of course, crashed on our couch for a couple of nights. When I finally got back on the road, I reached into my glove box for my gas card, and it was gone. "Kyle," I said, holding up the empty slot. He just shrugged. "Oh, I borrowed it. Family card, right?" "It's not a family card." Megan stepped between us, that familiar tight look on her face. "Jason, he had a job interview. He said he'd fill it tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. I canceled the card, set up alerts. For a while, that actually worked. But then tiny charges started slipping through on our other card. $12.99 here, $19.99 there. When I asked Megan, she'd wave it off. "Oh, it's just a subscription we needed." Needed what? Most nights, I was just too damn tired to fight. Now, holding that secret phone, I realized I should have fought harder. I sat in my car, outside the school, and just scrolled. These weren't one-off requests. This was a whole system. "Denise, tell him Toby needs new shoes. He'll say yes faster." "Megan, he's on a bad night shift." Serge was weak. "Try Sunday." "Kyle, I can't get locked out again. Give me the blue card numbers. I'll only use $200. Megan, $200 max delete after." Then another thread made my stomach absolutely plunge. Screenshots of my bank app, my username, partial password hints, security answers that only Megan would know. "Why do you have my login saved on this?" I whispered to the empty car, like the phone itself would answer. There were photos, too. My debit card. Both sides. Lying right next to Toby's Lego dragon. And a note beneath it, "Going to pay mom's rent. He won't notice until Monday." I scrolled back months. Rent. Car fees. A bail bond for someone named Jace's friend, who, fun twist, was not me. Individually, the amounts weren't huge. $80 here, $140 there, $300. But when I started tallying them in my head, it wasn't hundreds. It was thousands. My thousands. Thousands I earned through endless Uber nights, through oil changes and new tires. Hours I didn't tuck my son in because I was chasing a surge fare. But the worst part? It wasn't even the money. It was the tone. "Denise, he should be grateful he has a family to help. My generation had husbands who did their duty." "Megan, he gets weird about money. He thinks everything's a spreadsheet." "Kyle, tell him it's for Toby. He melts when you say it's for the kid." I sat there, feeling this cold, heavy thing spread right through my chest. I'm not a dramatic man. I change my oil at 5,000 miles and buy brake pads on sale. But right then, I understood what absolute, crushing betrayal feels like in your body. It's quiet. And it's heavy. I tried to give Megan the benefit of the doubt. I scrolled, desperately searching for one message from her saying no. I found a few, but they were thin. "Not now. He'll notice. Ask next week." And then it got even darker. A chat labeled Salon Girls. In it, Megan was joking about me, about the driver, like I was the hired help, not her husband. "Girl, you better keep that second phone charged. Men freak when you touch their money." "Megan, he's not mean about it. Just cheap. I swear he loves that car more than me." "Cheap." I locked the phone and leaned my head against the steering wheel. "Cheap. Okay. I was the cheap guy who paid Denise's dentist. The cheap guy who spent a Saturday resurfacing Kyle's brake rotors because a real shop overcharges. The cheap guy who faithfully lined every school fundraiser envelope with $20. Just then, my own phone buzzed. It was Megan. I answered. "Hey." Her voice was bright, annoyingly so. Hey, you grabbed Toby? Yeah, cool. Listen, I'm slammed. Can you do pickup and maybe throw $20 on Kyle's Cash App? His boss is no. Silence. No what? She asked, a forced laugh in her voice, like I'd just told a bad joke. No more money. A beat of silence. Then, a sharp intake of breath. Jason, it's just, I have your other phone. I cut her off. More silence. Then a guttural. Where did you? Toby brought it to show and tell. She said nothing. For a long beat. I could hear the salon dryers humming in the background, a coworker laughing at something. Then Megan's voice dropped, ice cold. Jason, don't go through that. I already did. Her tone flipped from cold to defensive in an instant. You're invading my privacy. It's my money. It's our kid. It's my cards, I countered. You always make it about you, she snapped. This is why I didn't tell you. Mom needed help. Kyle needed help. Families help each other. I've been helping for years, I said. Not enough, she shot back, and she actually sounded offended. You act like you're a saint because you drive people around. You're not the only one who works. There it was. She hung up before I could even respond. But my hands weren't shaking anymore. The ringing in my ears faded, replaced by a plan-shaped quiet. I picked up Toby from after-school care, made him a peanut butter sandwich, and set him up with a cartoon. Then, I sat down at the kitchen table with both phones. My plan was simple. I started writing. Dates, amounts, names, screenshots. I exported bank statements, pulled Cash App histories, Zelle receipts. I laid out a map of the drain. By dinner, I knew the total. $7,940. In just 8 months. And that wasn't even counting the transmission disaster or the gas card saga. Just 8 months of slow, insidious bleeding. All under the guise of, we'll pay you back Friday. At 8 p.m., there was a furious bang on the door. It was Denise. No hello. No preamble. Give Megan her phone, she demanded, pushing past me like she owned the place. Hi, Denise, I said, my voice flat. She's hysterical at work. You had no right. That phone is private. I held it up. This, I said, is a financial device. She rolled her eyes, scoffing. You always think you're a banker because you write things down. Behind her shoulder, Kyle lurked in a hoodie, his eyes darting around my living room like he was casing the joint. Mom, he mumbled. Ask him about the $600. My boss. Not your mom. I cut him off. Not your boss. Not your $600. Denise planted her hands on her hips, her eyes blazing. Jason, if you withhold funds from family, that's abuse. I laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. Abuse. You heard me. Men who control money control their wives. I won't let you do that to my daughter. I glanced at Toby, who was peeking around the hallway corner, watching wide-eyed. I kept my voice perfectly level. Get out of my house. Denise's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. Excuse me. Out, I repeated. We'll talk tomorrow. Kyle muttered something under his breath about me being ungrateful. I just shut the door on both of them. And for the first time in months, I stood straight. My heart felt calm. My next steps weren't complicated. Tomorrow, I told myself, I am done being a wallet with feet. The inevitable confrontation happened Sunday night, in the worst possible place, Denise's dining room. Spaghetti steam fogged up the windows, and everyone wore that fake, polite mask families put on right before they start screaming at each other. Denise had demanded we discuss the budget like adults, and I agreed because I wanted witnesses. Megan sat at the end of the table, arms crossed, jaw tight. Denise poured herself wine like it was holy water, and Kyle was already spinning his keychain, looking bored. Jason, Denise began, you've created a hostile environment around money. I just set a thick folder on the table. Here are 8 months of transactions. Megan scoffed. Oh wow, you made a binder. How impressive. Yep. I slid out the first page. Dates, amounts, recipients, with screenshots stapled behind each line. January 14th, $180 to Denise M., labeled gas plus groceries. January 20th, $85 to Kyle M., labeled tools. January 27th, $300 to county clerk for Kyle M. February 3rd, $90 to Denise M., phone bill. February 11th, $400 for. Denise waved her hand dismissively. We don't need the play-by-play. For Kyle's Ultima, because it was about to be impounded, I continued, unwavering. February 18th. $250 to Bail Now LLC for Jace's friend, who, again, is not me. March 1st. $120 to Lux Nails for Mom's treat. Megan slammed her fork down. Okay, enough. You think reading numbers makes you right? You never understand context. The context, I said, my voice steady, is that I worked 63 hours last week and came home to a negative balance because my wife and her family used a secret phone to route charges around me. Denise leaned forward, bristling. Don't say her family, like we're strangers. We're your family, too. I looked at Toby's crayon drawing on their fridge, 3 stick figures, holding hands, the word family in wobbly letters. My throat tightened, but my voice stayed even. I'm setting boundaries. Kyle snorted. You? Boundaries? Yes. I slid copies of the most damning screenshots across the table. Also, Megan, I called the bank. The blue card is closed. The debit cards are reissued. Our joint account is separated, pending review, effective tonight. Our household budget is for our household, not outside requests. Megan's face flushed crimson. You can't just, I can. And I did. Denise gripped her wine glass so tightly her knuckles were white. You're punishing all of us because you're insecure about being a driver. That's small. Something clicked for me then. The cheap jabs, the jokes in the salon chat, the way they said driver, like it was a demotion. A cold, hard anger rose in me, but it was level, not hot. I make honest money, I said. I pay for my kids' school shoes and the tires that keep strangers safe at 2 a.m. That's not small. Denise snorted. Spare us the speech. Okay, I said. Then facts. I opened another sleeve. There was an attempted login to my bank at 2:13 a.m. from Denise's IP address. There was a Cash App payment to Kyle minutes later. There are texts on this secret phone. I tapped the glittery case on the table. That say, don't tell Jason. He'll shut the cards again. Megan jumped up. Stop calling it secret. It's my privacy. Your privacy, I retorted, doesn't include my routing number. Mom needed rent, she fired back, desperate. Kyle's car got booted. What was I supposed to do? Let them suffer. I looked at her, really looked at her. It hit me, then how profoundly different we were right now. Say no, I said very quietly. Or at least ask me before you say yes with my name. Denise slammed her hand on the table. Enough. Jason, if you're going to be so stubborn, then return the funds we've fronted you over the years. Remember who watched Toby for free? Remember Thanksgiving? The gift cards. I just stared at her. You want to bill me for babysitting your grandson? She lifted her chin defiantly. We're not rich. Neither am I said. I'm just tired of being poor on purpose. Kyle pushed his chair back, scraping it loudly. You think you're better than us because you wear a seatbelt for a living? I exhaled slowly through my nose. I think I'm done funding your emergencies that are really just habits. Megan's eyes were bright and hard. So what? You cut my family off and keep playing hero? That's your plan. No. I slid one last piece of paper across the table. This is my plan. I paused, letting the words sink in. Separate accounts. A written budget. You get your own card. I don't monitor yours. You don't monitor mine. Toby's expenses are paid first. After that, any family help requests come through me, and they get one answer. No. If that doesn't work for you, we take a break. We figure out custody. I keep the car for work. You keep your salon checks. We stop bleeding. The room went absolutely silent. Even the spaghetti, somehow, seemed to stop steaming. Denise was the first to speak. Over my dead body, are you taking that boy away from his mother? I didn't say that, I replied calmly. I said we'd figure it out like adults. Megan looked at the papers. Then she looked at me. For a split second, I thought I saw something crack. Fear, maybe. But then her mouth hardened. You're not leaving, she said. You don't have the guts. I stood up. Watch me. The next 48 hours were a blur of practical moves, things I should have done a year ago, maybe 5 years ago. I opened a new checking account at a credit union. I switched all my Uber deposits there. Every single password got changed, and I enabled two-factor authentication with an authenticator app, not texts Megan could intercept. I froze my credit. I put a fraud alert on the bureaus. I bought a small fireproof box and locked away birth certificates, the car title, our passports. I even talked to a lawyer at a legal clinic. She listened to the numbers, to the whole insane story, and she didn't even flinch. You're allowed to protect yourself, she told me. And you're allowed to say no to adults who should manage their own lives. She emailed me a template for a financial separation agreement and a simple parenting schedule that prioritized Toby's school routine. When I got home that night, Megan was waiting at the kitchen table. The secret phone sat in front of her like some kind of dark talisman. "You embarrassed me at my mother's house," she said, her voice tight. "I brought receipts. You like humiliating me." I shook my head. "I like feeding our kid and sleeping at night." She crossed her arms. "Mom says you're trying to isolate me. I'm trying to stop giving money to a grown man who can't keep a job and a grown woman who calls babysitting a billable service." Megan's eyes flicked to the phone, then back to me, looking for a weakness. "You took Toby to school in a stained t-shirt this morning." "Yeah," I said, "because I'm driving doubles and doing laundry between shifts, since I'm down $1,000 to your brother's impound fees." Her jaw worked. Then she went for the gut punch. "You're not a real man if you can't provide for your wife's family." I let that sit between us for a long, quiet moment. "I am exactly a real man," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "I provide for my son, and I'm asking my wife to stop stealing from me." She flinched. "Don't say that word." "What word?" "Stealing." "It wasn't stealing. You took my card numbers. You gave them to other people. That's stealing." She looked down. For a long, long time, she didn't speak. When she finally did, her voice was barely a whisper. I felt trapped. "They text me all day? Help me. We're short. You know Jason has money. I thought if I handled it for them, you wouldn't have to deal with it." "You made sure I wouldn't deal with it," I said, "by hiding it." Tears filled her eyes. "They're my family." "I know," I said, surprised my own voice was gentle. "They're just not our bank." That night, I slept on the couch. The house was too quiet without a fight, which, somehow, felt even worse. The next morning, Megan asked, her voice small, "Are you leaving?" "I'm taking a week at Mike's place," I told her. "Mike's another driver. He's got a spare room and a slow snore. We need space. And for Toby, we'll split the week." I handed her a printed schedule. She stared at it like it was an ultimate betrayal, not just Arial font. "My mom is going to freak," she whispered. She already did. Mike's spare room smelled like lemon cleaner and coffee. I hung my shirts on a shower rod and taped Toby's latest drawing above the air mattress. I just drove. A lot. Late bars, airport runs, quiet couples who Venmo me $5 tips with hearts in the notes. I made $1,100 in 5 days. I fixed a taillight for $18 at the junkyard. Small wins. But my body started to unclench. Meanwhile, the group chat in Denise land lit up like a dumpster fire. Screenshots found their way to me. Megan's coworkers sent them. She was apparently sick of the drama. "Denise, he abducted my grandson." "Megan, he took a week just to be petty." "Kyle, tell him I'll pay him back after my new job starts." Random ad. "Men are supposed to provide." I didn't respond. Instead, I bought Toby a cheap kite, and we spent my afternoon off in a windy field, making it crash and then soar. He laughed so hard he hiccuped. "That sound. That's the reason I keep going." Then Denise escalated. She actually showed up at my pickup spot at school, trying to unbuckle Toby from my car. "Denise, stop," I said, putting my hand on the door frame, keeping my voice level. "I'm his grandmother. You're scaring him." She looked up and saw the school resource officer watching us from 20 feet away. She let go. "This isn't over. It is for today," I said and drove away. I filed for a temporary parenting plan, just like the lawyer suggested. Simple. School day stability. Handoffs at 6 p.m. No surprise pickups. The judge signed it in 2 days because, apparently, the court had seen 1,000 versions of Denise. Megan texted me that night. "We need to talk." Without the court. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop. Public. Neutral. Cheap. She showed up in a hoodie, her eyes tired. No secret phone. She stirred her drink like it had personally insulted her. "This is not who we are," she said finally. "It's exactly who we are," I replied. "We just said it out loud." She swallowed. "Mom thinks you're turning me against her." "I think your mom raised you to think a bank account is fair game." She flinched, then exhaled a long, weary sigh. "I hate that she makes every problem my problem." "Then stop letting her." Her eyes flicked to mine. "So it's just no forever?" "No to bailing out adults," I clarified. "I say yes to helping in ways that don't sink us, if we choose, and if we can. Groceries when we have extra, handyman stuff, sure. But no to rent. No to cars. No to emergency cash apps at midnight. She nodded slowly. I don't know how to tell her. You don't owe her a thesis, I said softly. You owe our kid a stable home. We sat with that for a moment. Then she said the thing I had been both waiting for and dreading. I opened a card in your name. Her voice was barely a whisper. It started at $500. I thought I'd pay it off. Then things happened. It's at $2,400. For a second, the whole room tilted. Then I steadied. This is why you freeze your credit. This is why you lock boxes. My eyes had been closed for too long. You need to call them and close it today, I told her, my voice firm. And then we figure out how to pay it from your checks, not mine. She nodded, tears glistening on her lashes. Okay. Also, you need to send Kyle a single text. Do not contact me about money again. Then block him. She actually laughed, once, an ugly, bitter sound. He'll show up at the house. Then call me. Or the police. Or don't answer the door. I'm done negotiating with a man who thinks almost had a job counts as employment. She wiped her eyes. Do you hate me? I looked down at my hands. No. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. But mostly, I'm just tired. Tired of living like we're one tire away from disaster because you can't say no to someone who treats you like a wallet. We left it there. Not fixed. Not healed. But pointed towards grown-up weather. Denise, of course, did not go quietly. She called everyone. She posted a long, furious Facebook rant about modern men who weaponize spreadsheets. My own aunt screenshotted it back to me, with 50 crying laughing emojis. Kyle texted me from a new number. Broke. Need $200, and I'm good. I replied with a screenshot of the temporary parenting plan. Nothing else. He called me a name that starts with P and ends with whipped. I put his number on silent. The funniest, and also the saddest part, was watching what happened when the tap actually shut off. 2 weeks in, Denise suddenly found money for her rent by selling an antique hutch she'd sworn was priceless. Kyle discovered his boss actually pays on Fridays if you bother to show up on time. It turns out, emergencies tend to shrink dramatically when they have to carry them themselves. At the end of the month, Megan handed me a receipt. Close the card, she said. Payment plan set. It's coming out of my check. I just nodded. Good. She looked at me, a tentative smile touching her lips. I also blocked Mom for a week. I needed quiet. A surge of unexpected pride filled me. How'd it feel? Like my brain could breathe, she confessed. I took a breath, too. For the first time in a long time, our house wasn't full of panic. It was full of normal stuff. Toby's sneakers by the door. A half-finished puzzle on the table. The hum of the fridge instead of Denise's demanding ringtone. Megan and I aren't healed. Not completely. But we're being nice to each other. Careful. We talk about therapy. We Google sliding scale options. We even set up a cash envelope labeled fun and put $20 in it, like it's a sacred act. And you know what? It kind of is. I'm not going to pretend this ended with a movie kiss and everyone learning a neat lesson. Denise still thinks I'm an ATM with an attitude problem. Kyle still texts from new numbers sometimes. And Megan still hesitates before she says no. We're human, after all, not a perfect spreadsheet, no matter how much I love a good cell formula. But here's what did change. I stopped apologizing for having boundaries. I stopped letting we're family mean you can raid Jason's life. I stopped being a quiet man who just pays and quietly wonders why he's always so angry. Last week, Toby had show and tell again. This time, he brought the kite. He told the class, my dad made it fly when I thought it was broken. I stood in the back with the other parents, hands in my pockets, and just let that sentence land. Right there. In the same place where the old one used to live, Mommy's secret phone. Now, it's, Dad made it fly. Megan and I are still working on us. We meet on Tuesdays, after her shift and before mine. We talk about small things. We talk about big ones, too. Sometimes she says, I need you to remind me it's okay to say no. And sometimes I do. Sometimes, I even ask her for the reminder myself, because guilt is sneaky, and kind people are easy targets. Denise tried one more stunt, of course. She texted Megan. Christmas is at my place. Everyone chips in $300. Megan typed back, we're not participating this year. We'll do a small one at home. She showed me the screen with shaking hands, still nervous. I just said, good job. We made cocoa that night. Watched a movie on the couch, lights off, the little tree a bit crooked, Toby asleep between us. It felt like real wealth. The money is still tight, believe me. Tires aren't cheap, and neither is rent. But the math finally adds up now. Because it's our math, not theirs. So, if you need the moral of the story spelled out, plain and clear, here it is. From one tired driver to anyone who needs to hear it. You are not a bad person for refusing to be a wallet with legs. You are not cruel for protecting the roof over your kid's head from adults who refuse to protect their own. Love doesn't mean unlimited access to your bank account. And family definitely doesn't mean endless overdraft. I used to think saying no would make me the villain. Turns out, it made me a father my son can trust. It made me a man I can live with.